This is our regular March meeting at the Madison County Board of Commissioners at the Agricultural Extension Center and Auditorium with 309 North Parkway right here in good old Jackson, Tennessee. It's March the 15th, isn't it? I believe it is, yeah. And it's 8:31. We'll all stand, Commissioner. All.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today we have Dr. Dub Oliver, who's a native of San Antonio, Texas, where he also received his education and eventually his doctorate from Texas A&M. We're blessed to have such a great servant leader and a mentor here today with us, along with him being a great friend to Madison County. Dr. Dub Oliver.
Good morning. Let's start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Thanks so much, Commissioner Wall, for the opportunity to lead the pledge and the invocation and to share just a quick word. Now, most of you know that I'm an ordained Baptist pastor, so I promise to just take a minute. I want to share a verse of Scripture with you this morning that I hope is an encouragement to you. It's Romans 15:13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit you may abound in hope. Amen. I'm mindful that it's a year, right, since the coronavirus started. Not just that the WHO declared it a worldwide pandemic, but that in fact we were taking actions as you, as the county commission, we as individual entities across the county about this pandemic. And the truth is that on the first day and now the 365th day that it's been a weird year. We can agree with that, right? That things that we thought should work a certain way were not working at all. It reminds me of our little granddaughter Betsy. She was at our house last fall, and at my daughter and son-in-law's house, they have this thing called Alexa. You might be familiar with it. And Alexa does all these things in their house, and she's used to this, and so she'll say Alexa and tell it to do something. And our house doesn't have Alexa, and so she's not used to how that works. And she would go over and pick up the fan remote, the remote that turns on the ceiling fan, and she'd pick it up and she'd yell into it, "Alexa, play Frozen." And I say, "Baby girl, that's not going to work. Alexa, play Frozen." And I feel like that we've been a lot that way this year, that things that we thought should work didn't work. And in a year like that, or on a day like that, it's important to remember the things that do work. Things like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. Against such thing there is no law. There will never be a law against such things. And so as you begin your work today on this first day of a new year, even a new year in the midst of a pandemic, I pray that the God of hope would fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit you may abound in hope. Would you join your hearts together in prayer with me? Well, Lord our God, you are the God of hope. And we praise you that God, you are the God of hope, that it isn't dependent upon me or anybody in this room or anybody else in this world. You are the reason that we hope. And Lord, I pray for these men and women as they gather here this morning to deliberate, to discuss, to make decisions. Lord, I pray that they would be people of goodwill. People who are known by the fruits of the Spirit, Lord. People who seek the welfare of this city and everyone in it. People who understand the ways, the highways and the byways of this county so well, and love the people of this county so well that they will do everything possible so that everyone would flourish. And Lord, I pray that we would avoid the arrogance and pride that we know all the right answers. I pray that you would give us the humility to serve faithfully and well. And Lord, at the end of this meeting, at the end of this day, at the end of our days, Lord, may we praise you, the God of hope, who gives us everything we need. This is our prayer in the powerful and matchless name of Jesus. And all God's people said, Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Oliver, for those encouraging words. Roll call.
Alexander. Here. Arnold. Yes. Deckel. Here. Brantley. Brown Claudel. Here. Brown Scott. Bryant. Bush. Cleek. Here. Compton. Here. Eaton.
Here.
Ellison. Here. Gobble. Here. Hale. Here. Hampton Pearson.
Here.
Johnson Arthur.
Here.
Johnson Barber.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Mercer. Montague.
Here.
Petty.
Here.
Spearman.
Here.
Stevenson. Taylor.
Here.
Wall.
Here.
21 present, Mr. Chairman. 21.
21 present, 4 absent. And because of technical difficulties, there's no minutes to be approved at this time. They'll be approved next month. Presentation by County Mayor.
We don't have any this morning, Mr. Chairman.
Announcement from the chair. I would, since we have such, we very rarely do this, I probably have never done this, but I'd like to have all 3 of the candidates who turn an application in for the school board, if they would come forward and allow them to make a few comments, so you know who they are. Gary Campbell, Ken Newman, Ms. Lashley, I'm sorry. And Gary, I want to apologize. I've always called you Jerry because you misspelled your name.
Get the check right, I'm good.
Y'all take a minute just to tell us why you want to serve on the school board. We'd appreciate that. Go right ahead, Mr. Campbell.
Good morning, County Commission. It's nice to be here with you. I feel called to serve on the board as an interim appointment, not a permanent appointment, because I have had children who have graduated from this school system. This is a good school system. We have issues, we have problems, but we can work together to solve those. I think that the school board has done a wonderful job of hiring a new superintendent that has the system working and moving in the right direction. And I think that it's critical that school board members support Dr. King and continue to make progress in making this a world-class school system for all the children at the different schools. One of the things that I guess my background always brings up in my spirit is making sure that children have access to education, but in a safe environment, because if children don't feel safe, if there's no discipline, and there can be discipline issues, and we know that within our school system, they cannot learn. And so I support the vision that we have adopted for the next 5 years, because I want to see the school system lay the foundation, goals to move this system in the right direction. I have been asked why I would not run for re-election. I think that my focus over the next 6 to 9 months should strictly be on the school system, not about the next election. Because sometimes when we're worried about the next election, we may not say things or do things that we need to do to stand up, to be on the right side of issues. So that's why I have offered to serve until the election, to where I think the people of District 2 will get to vote. Not giving someone an advantage, but people will get to vote for their choice. I've lots of experience in Jackson. I've been here for 40-something years. Currently serve on a statewide board of directors, so I'm very familiar with how boards of directors, which is kind of like our school system, should operate. Where we may approve policy, we may give advice to the superintendent, but our job is not to micromanage the schools or the principals. We need to really get our community engaged in supporting the schools. so that our children are successful. And so that's why I have offered to serve.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Mr. Newman.
Most of you have had access to my resume, so like the State Farm commercial says, I've seen it all. And I can divide my experience with the school system into 5 areas. I am a public school person, and I went to Bemis, Melissa's, and Southside, and the Union. And I started teaching during segregation. I was chosen to go to East High School for desegregation. Then I went to West High School for 22 years. And then consolidation came about. I went back to Northside where I started teaching. And then I went into administration in the central office as instructional supervisor. And then I went into higher education at Union where I still teach. And I teach teachers. And I have to stay on top of everything that's going on. Just like today, I have in my study to take to school the article on what's going through the Senate in Nashville about the teachers can kick students out of class. And I think that's a big thing that we need to look at closely. And so I'm the one who shares with our faculty everything that's going on. I'm in schools all the time, mentoring our students. I have students in Jackson, Madison County schools, and I have students in surrounding areas where I see good things going on there. And like I said, I've seen it all. And the reason I want to serve on the board is I believe in servant leadership. I teach that in the leadership courses that I teach. And I want to be a part of the school system, to continue to be a part. And I have stolen Dr. King's little motto, best by any measure, because I want to see all of our schools considered as good schools, and that's what I would work toward. Now, I was asked the question, would I run for the position when it's open? And yes, I would run, but I have no idea how to run for a political office, so I need help with that. But I haven't gone out and had my signs made yet, because I need to see how this works. And so that's my answer to that, but yes, I'm willing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Ms. Lashley.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I think I probably knew that Coach Henley was resigning before a lot of y'all did. He called me in mid-January and said, Melissa, I'm going to resign from the school board because of my he had COVID, and it really affected him physically and with his health. And he said, I've thought about it, I'm resigning. And he goes, I've thought about who I want to take my place, and I want it to be you. Well, that floored me because I was really honored and I was really humbled that Coach Henley had that kind of confidence in me. We even talked this past weekend, and I asked him, I said, Coach Henley, what is it that you see in me that made you think of me? He said, you have fire. He said, you care about these kids, you care about this school system, and he said, you have the fire in you that it takes to do a good job on that board and to do what's best for the kids and for the teachers of this school system. I was, that just really humbled me once again, because if you know Coach Henley, if he thinks highly of you, you're someone to be thought highly of. And so I appreciate his confidence. My husband and I prayed about it. My husband said, go for it. I'm going for it. I believe I can bring a lot to the table with my 31 years of experience in this system. Plus, I've been back into the classroom since I've retired doing interims. I was even doing an interim at the beginning of COVID. So I understand a lot of what the teachers are going through as they experience this new normal that they're having to go through. I had 4 children that went through this school system. I know this school system works. It worked for my children. My children are all successful as adults, and they're that way because Jackson Madison County Schools gave them that foundation. So I appreciate this school system. I've given my years of experience to this school system. I love this school system. If asked about running for election, I believe if I'm appointed to this position, I have years and years that I can devote to this school system in the future. And so I would really appreciate your support and to allow me to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lashley. Thank all 3 of you. Appreciate it. You know, the sad part of it is we got 3 excellent candidates, but we can only have one of them. I wish we could have all 3 of them. Item number 5, report from our school superintendent, Dr. King.
Good morning. First, I would like to again thank Ms. Bell for her continued cooperation as we navigate the finances of the school system. I think she sees the behind-the-scenes complexity of this work, and it's not easy work, but we continue to make strong strides at managing our funds more strategically. And probably earlier this year, in meeting with the chairman of the commission and the chairman of the budget committee, along with our budget chairman, we discussed fleshing out the capital outlay plan more, moving from a 3-year capital outlay plan to more of a 5-year plan. We've done that. We also discussed what opportunities we might have in using relief funds. And I want to share with the commission that with the $16 million that we were receiving in relief funds, we are devoting $7 million of those funds to capital projects, which will be a huge help for the county because the county wouldn't have to devote those funds to the school system. We are looking for more funds coming in from ESSER 3.0, and hopefully we can do more work in capital improvement. As mentioned a week ago, we will be giving raises this upcoming school year, along with 2 bonuses, a bonus this spring and a bonus in the fall for our teachers as well as our support staff. Moving forward in the fall, we will only have 2 learning options. We're going to move away from having teachers teach both virtual and in person. We will only offer 1 virtual option, and that will allow students to enroll in our cyber school, which will focus on STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Otherwise, they can enroll in their traditional school. We should hear more from the state around the approval of the activities that we have, or we are submitting for our relief funds. We have quite a few activities, and we feel strongly that these activities will definitely accelerate learning for our students. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. King. Anyone have any questions for Dr. King? Thank you very much, Dr. King. Item number 6, report from our finance director, Ms. Karen Bell.
Just a few items quickly. First of all, just wanted to show we are working with Dr. King and his staff on the JC Madison purchasing process for the things that the county school system was responsible for. So we're tracking that, providing a weekly update to he and his staff on the bids that have gone out, what they've come in at, and where we are on that project. And that is available. We'll be sending that out with our finance director's report so that you can keep track of it as well. Another request, last month, you approved the fund balance policy. So we have now taken our fund balance spreadsheet and we are tracking where we are on percentage to make sure that we're in compliance with the 15% that was approved. So as you can see for the month of March, right now we're at about 22.6% of our general fund balance and tracking that balance. So we will have that data available as well. Of course, we're right in the throes of the budget work season. Worksheets went out to departments last week, thanks to Michelle Sellers getting those out to the departments. And I do want to address just a couple of items related to the budget because I know they've been discussed. Many of you heard that the state was going to allocate some funds to counties, and we are slated to receive $1,253,262. Excuse me. And this will be one-time funding to be used exclusively for one-time expenses as opposed to annual recurring expenses. And these funds may not be used to support recurring expenditures such as salaries, but they can be used for new building construction outside of permitted spending categories. We'll know more about that and receive those if we receive it by July 31st, 2021. And the reason I put the caveat on there is because then last week, as many of you know, with the American Emergency Relief Fund, Madison County is slated to receive $19 million. And the reason I say if we receive it, there is discussion that Governor Lee may take the state funding out to counties and cities now that federal funds are coming down. So that's, as you know, the state is in their budget work sessions as well. Now, I want to explain just a few things about the 19 million. What little information we have at this point. Payments to local governments will be made in 2 tranches. First half, 60 days after enactment. Second half, 1 year later. The funds must be spent by the end of calendar year 2024, and there will be specific eligible uses. And all we have at this time, and I will keep you abreast as more information becomes available. Revenue replacement for the provision of government services to the extent of the reduction in revenue due to COVID-19 public health emergency. Premium pay for essential workers, assistance to small business households and hard-hit industries and economic recovery, and investments in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. That's pretty much all we know at this point. We will have to document and apply for those. I mean, it's not just a process where they're going to send out the money. There will be have to documentation. But I do want to make you aware, since we're in budget season, and we will know something to put into this year's budget. It's just coming from Washington slowly. So as I receive information, I'll be happy to share that with you. That's my report.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Bell? Thank you, Karen. Item number 7, report from county officials, standing special committees, any old business and action thereof by this board. Mr. Hale.
Yes, sir. The policy committee met, or the personnel committee met, earlier last week to take a couple things. One, I just want to start by saying how grateful we should all be for Ms. Keene's presence. She is going to be a vital asset going forward, as she's already doing a stellar job. The first thing we took up was to try to tackle the holiday pay unfunded mandate that's occurring right now. We owe around $1.3 million to our employees for holiday pay that they've banked. And so this first thing we're taking up is to kind of just stop the bleeding, and that's to change the policy where they can't bank them anymore. But when we do that, we don't want to take something away from our first responders and our correctional facilities and our firefighters and those things that very much deserve this time. I think part of the problem is that we've seen with the Sheriff's Department is they're not manned well enough to be able to offer this amount of time off and then have to pay overtime to cover the outage for the personnel. So let me just get this recommendation on the floor, and then we can answer any questions going forward. The recommendation from the committee is to propose the change to the holiday pay policy, and it goes as such. Any hours worked on Madison County designated holidays will be paid out at 2 times the normal base rate for all hourly paid employees. There will not be any banking of holiday time to be paid at a later date. 8 hours of holiday pay will be paid to the employee for the pay period during which the holiday falls. Committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Floor is open for discussion.
Come on now.
Too easy.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Well, get something done. The next part, I'm going to allow Ms. Keene to talk a little bit about. It's a proposed change to the 457 plan. And with that, I'll let you kind of explain, and then I'll make the recommendation.
Okay. On our 457 plan, recently Voya was going around to the different locations and talking with employees, and they are the ones that help administrate this plan for our employees. What we found is that it's very difficult for getting employees to enroll in that program after they've already been working for a while. Our plan is not available to any employees until they've been here 6 months. And in talking with some of the other department heads, we also found that those employees, sometimes they're struggling with some turnover as well. And we would like to entice employees to stay with us. So we would like to give them the opportunity to enroll immediately when they enroll with the rest of the benefit plan that first month after their hire date. We would like to also make it available so they can roll their funds in from another savings plan if they would like to put it into our plan. The only change really is when they can start getting that match. Because of the change to the pension plan in 2012, Anyone hired after that would not be eligible for that plan, so all employees hired after that date get the 2% from the county that is contributed, whether they participate or not. And then this would allow the match dollar for dollar up to 4% to be implemented that first month. I think that when someone's new in the environment, it's good to let them select that and before they really get used to spending all of their money when it comes in their paycheck, that it's encouraging to help them start that savings for retirement. And just in case anybody wanted to know, out of the 776 employees, we only have 421 that are either covered by the pension plan or are participating in the retiree program. So that's only 54% of our population. So that other group is not saving right now toward retirement, and I think it's something important for them.
What percentage is still left on the old plan?
I don't have it in a percentage off the top of my head. The old plan, we have 264 participating in that. Sorry.
And this comes as a committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
It's 34%. 34%.
34%.
So part of our strategy moving forward, when personnel meets, we want to take up the 1.3 million that we owe. So what we've done today is stop the flow of holidays into that bank, but we want to at least consider an opportunity for annual payouts, whether it be, in the month of November, the employee can come to the county and request, let's say a 40-hour pay week right around Christmas, and it'd be a benefit to them and a benefit to the county in that we can kind of start hacking away at some of those hours that we owe them in holiday pay. It'd be effective holiday only. One thing we failed to mention was the effective date of this change, and so it is a committee recommendation that the holiday pay change be effective 1 July this year, 2021, and that is a committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Thank you.
So that means there's 12% have not participated in any program then. Would that be correct?
46% are not participating.
Well, you got 54% in the new plan.
30.
No, altogether, you have 54% that are covered either by TCRS, or they're covered
Gotcha.
by Voya.
Okay. Commissioner Petty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just as a point of information, the Conservation Board has made an offer to an individual for the director's position, and we should hear back an answer today. It's due today. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Petty. Commissioner Beck.
Excess Resale Property Committee met this week, and we've got 5 properties that we need to get approved by this body. We accepted an offer from Elon and Arthur Bryce on 221 Vance Street for $1,500.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
We've got a property on Mount Street with no street address that was accepted for $844.80.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
An offer for $719.23 was accepted on 14 Kentucky Street by James Anderson and Ivy Love.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
An offer in the amount of $980.18 on 18 Kentucky Street was accepted by James Anderson and Ivy Love.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
And lastly, an offer for $965.68 was accepted from 20 Kentucky Street by James Anderson and Ivy Love.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Beckman. Commissioner?
On the 9th of March, the Agriculture Committee met and trying to get the basis of the meeting pretty much is the usage of the auditorium and the conference room. So we're trying to work that out between the agencies that's in here and the election commission as well. That's all I have.
Any other reports? Commissioner Brown.
The accessibility of the conference rooms and the auditorium for what's happening is that I do agree the election commission needs room, and trying to establish room for new voting machines is coming in about 4 or 5 months. They want to use the conference room to store the voting machines. And by them doing that, having access to the conference room just for storage of the voting machines, the other agencies up in here, they won't have anywhere to go. And the conference room is used tremendously. During the year of course, last year it wasn't used at all because of COVID, but in 2019 it was used like 75 times out of the year. And out of those 75, only 5 times was some non-government agencies using it. So it's very much needed, and the agencies that's in this complex collectively have an economic impact of like $30 million for this county every year. And the Farm Service Agency pays $36,000 a year rent. Now, and I do understand it's an issue for us, well, the election commission. I totally understand that. But that's the problem we have. And then even when they understand it's been a pretty good marriage for years for the youth, they understand that they don't have access to the auditorium during voting time. And that's when they use the conference room to conduct business. So it won't be, I mean, it's a situation that really needs to be addressed directly by this body, especially for the usage of that conference room, and especially for this complex in entirety, because it was established initially in 1978 that this complex was used for farmers' home administration, extension service, agricultural stabilization service, and soil conservation services. And again, ladies and gentlemen, the numbers don't lie. This is what these 3 agencies, the Farm Service Agency, the NRCS Agency, and the TSU Extension Agency collectively have an economic impact of $30 million a year on this economy. So, and they use that room tremendously, and auditorium. So, something we got to work on.
Commissioner Brown, the biggest issue we got is by the state law requires us to secure our voting machines on an annual basis, and we haven't been doing that in the proper way in the past. So we've got to deal with this. We have to address this, and we will. Commissioner Brown?
Yeah. In all respect to that, but in disregard to the multiple concerns of agencies, I would request that as you go through the adjustment and deliberations, that the county attorney, I'm always putting you to work, that these lease arrangements be reviewed. Because quite frankly, I'm sure at some point some considerations were given to all of these people with regard to the use of all the facilities here. And to make sure that everything's proper, the lease with each of these agencies be reviewed.
Good point, Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Petty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Lott, of course, heads up the election commission, approached the property committee by email to me, apparently after your meeting, and said that, and I'm waiting on her to give me an answer to my questions, how many square feet does she need? And I do understand there's laws that we have to meet, and the way these voting machines have to be stored, secured, under camera, so on and so forth. And so I'm getting the answers to all of that, and will be addressed at our next property committee meeting, which will be the second Tuesday of the month. And in hopes of maybe being able to find a spot somewhere else, and if anybody knows of anything, that suggestions, I'd certainly entertain that for her. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Johnson.
I just wanted to say I'm on that committee, and when this building was built and this complex was built, this building was built for the community, and most of it was for the farmers. I mean, the farmers in this county, what do we have to offer them? And if we take this building, they have a lot of meetings here. And I was thinking at the meeting the other day, to have a safe place to keep the voting machines, why don't we store them out at the sheriff's office, because there's plenty of room out there, and I think that would be the safest place for them.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Moving right along. Item number 8, any amendments or transfers to the general fund, school department, capital project, highway department, debt service, juvenile court service budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Commissioner Johnson.
Okay. All right, Mr. Mayor, I may have to have some help. My eyes and my glasses are fouling up, but let me try this. Fund 141, general purpose schools, item 1, $13,152 insurance recovery. This is recommended from the finance
committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 2, $22,000 contributions. There was $10,000 from HDS Facilities LLC, and for students scholarships, and $12,000 contribution from a merit group to be used for the purchase of Chrome book cords, and this is recommended.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 3, $57,900 CTE. This amendment amends the reallocation for ECH fund, and still for funds for sale for CTE equipment.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 4, $8,463,000 required paid school health grant.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 5, $17,990, state pre-grant, state pre-grant recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Fund 177, educational capital. Item 6, $4,100,000. This amendment appropriates fund balance to be used for the Madison and JCM projects.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 7, Sheriff's Department, $1,746 for repairs to 2017 Ford Interceptor.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 8, Sheriff's Department, $4,263,035. Recorded SRO ball game overtime reimbursement.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 9, Register of Deeds, $27,000, general fund. Budgeting data processing reserve money for supplies.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 10, veteran service, $449.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 11, EMA, $50,147. Reallocates CRF budget.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 12, Public Defender, $995, 3% increase for Public Defender.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 13, Community Corrections, $945, 3% increase for employees.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 14, Finance, multiple departments, $1,795,598.33. Budget for capital request is approved by Capital Committee.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? Commissioner Common.
Mr. Chairman, just wanted to let the commission know that on these amendments, the Capital Committee did meet after the audit came in, as we did the first time, and did not allocate any of this money until the audit. And we had some issues where our fund balance was a little bit lower than what was expected. So the Capital Committee met and did trim a little bit off of the original allocation. Most all of the things that were trimmed were actually volunteered by the department heads to be able to be moved into the next year. And this will allow us to have a fund balance in capital of just over $300,000 for the remainder of the year for any kind of emergencies. So that was decided and then recommended to the Finance Management Committee for the amendments.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 15, Finance, Sheriff's Department, and HR, $16,947.90. Termination payouts.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
This was pulled from fund balance, $9,608.48. Sheriff comp time, $2,439.40. Annual leave, $5,011.36. Holiday is $2,664.33. Human Resources annual leave, $5,628.41.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion?
We just voted on that. We just voted. That's what we just voted on.
Ms. Bell, the Finance Committee had a recommendation for the commission, and on the audit, do you want to explain that to the commission? You can do a better job than I can.
Sure, be happy to. When the audit comes in each year, they adjust the fund balances to show what they are. So we need to take the financial management adopted and voted on these, but we need to have a vote by the CLB so that we can have that in the minutes to show the audit fund balances have been adopted. They're up there on the screen for you to review. If you have any questions, be happy to answer those.
The Finance Committee has recommended this, Mr. Chairman.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Item number 9, report from our county mayor.
Mr. Chairman, I emailed out to the members a resolution dealing with a sign out at the industrial park. This is a sign that we voted, the industrial park committee voted on probably 2 years ago or longer to allocate the money to do this, and they've been working on design, so on and so forth, but we never could come up with the design that needed to be. So anyway, if you fast forward, really nothing's been done on this for the last couple of years, especially last year. There is now a grant available to potentially pay for a portion of this, and the design of the sign has finally been settled on what the industrial park industry wanted and what they're looking for. And so basically, this resolution is to allow us to apply for a grant. It would be a, I think it's a 75-25 split. So this is a, well, let me get my, USDA grant for this. I do think we're going to have to suspend the rules, Mr. Chairman, to adopt this resolution, but basically to apply for a grant, as well as for Mandy White at the Chamber to be the contact person to work through this grant.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Have a motion to suspend the rules. Have a motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Now we need to adopt the resolution.
I would move we adopt the resolution as written.
Second. Have a motion and second to adopt the resolution as written.
I second.
Give it to Tommy.
Let Tommy second.
Let Tommy.
All right, thank you.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
And Friday, along with Dr. King and some different people with IT, we toured our Madison academic as well as JCM project. They are coming right along. They are on a tight schedule. At least right now, we feel like, from what we're told, they will be completed by the start of the school year. They've done a lot of work, but there's a lot of work to go on that. I think both of them are going to be very,
usable, impressive buildings, once we get through them. And then, the plans we were talking about last time and voted on, for the commission meeting room, we're supposed to have those sometime today or tomorrow maybe, that we'll have something to look at and talk about, as well as to look at and talk about some prices on that. And then the completion of the jail, and I don't know if Captain Rudder's here, now the completion date on the jail has been pushed to about the second week in November.
I believe it's December.
Is it December? Okay. Of course, with the weather we've had and so on and so forth, that keeps moving on out. So I just want to let you know on that. Anything else you want to say about the jail property?
I usually send out that thing the day after the meeting. I mean, anybody's welcome to come to those meetings we have, but that scheduler does a good job with pictures and timelines, and as far as requests for information, they're in there. If any of you ever have a question about it, don't hesitate to give me a call. But you should be getting all those in the mailbox from Sarah, because I sent it to her the same thing.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 10, appointment for School Board District 2, one open position. Floor is open for nominations. Commissioner Compton.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Dr. Kenneth Newman to that position.
Mr. Petty.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Ms. Melise Lashley.
Any other nominations? We have Mr. Newman and Ms. Lashley. Nominations cease.
So moved.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. You have two, Mr. Newman and Ms. Lashley, vote for one. Roll call.
Alexander.
Newman.
Arnold.
Newman.
Beckham.
Newman.
Brantley. Brown Claudel.
Newman.
Brown Scott. Bryant. Bush. Fleet.
Newman.
Compton.
Newman.
Eaton.
Lashley.
Ellison.
Newman.
Gobble.
Lashley.
Hill.
Lashley.
Hampton Pearson.
Newman.
Johnson Arthur.
Newman.
Johnson Barber.
Newman.
Martin.
Newman.
Mercer.
Newman.
Montague.
Newman.
Petty.
Lashley.
Spearman.
Newman.
Stevenson.
Lashley.
Taylor.
Lashley.
Wall.
Newman.
Have 15 for Newman, 7 for Lashley. Mr. Newman.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm somewhat insulted. Nobody nominated me for that.
Nominated you?
Yes, I'm
If I'd
somewhat,
have thought about it, I would have.
stay on the job.
Congratulations, Mr. Newman, you have been nominated, but I appreciate all three who turned their resume in. All three of you were excellent candidates, and any one of you have done an outstanding job. Thank you for being a part of it. Item number 11, consideration of a resolution to rezone property located at 85 Village Road from B3, Mifflin Road to B3 Highway Business District to French Residential District, compromising of 1.6 acres of land more or less. Stan.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, County Commission. This item was presented to the Planning Commission at their last meeting, and you have the materials pertinent to this rezoning request. The applicants are asking for this rezoning change because it was a residential home that back in a few years ago was
was zoned commercial with some other property. They wish to use it residentially, so that's why they're wanting to downzone it back to residential, and the planning commission is recommending it to you.
This is a open meeting. Anyone for or opposed to it?
No, I just.
Commissioner Johnson.
If we need a motion, I'd like to make a motion that we accept, Stan's plan.
Have a motion? Have a second? Any other discussion? Anyone like to speak for it or against it? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Thank
Stanley,
you.
you done an outstanding job.
Oh, well, I appreciate it.
Number 12. Commissioner Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're meeting March 23rd with the insurance committee, so we'll have that. I'd like to table that till next month.
All righty.
Replace those vacant seats.
That'll be fine. Item number 13, appointment of Madison County Attorney. By this body, a 2-year term. Attorney Steve Maroney, incumbent. Commissioner Brown? Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second? Any discussion?
Commissioner Brown made the motion.
Commissioner Brown made the motion. Commissioner Petty made.
Who seconded, Chairman?
Wall.
Wall. Petty. Somebody did. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Thank you.
Are we paying you enough?
Always open to negotiate.
Item number 14, appointment of one member to the Conservation Board by this body. It's a 5-year term. Freddie Lee Garrett is Jr. is incumbent.
Re-elected.
Have a motion? Have a second by, who second? Mr. Alexander. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Item number 15, appointment of 2 members at-large members of the Madison County Long Range Planning Committee by this body. 1-year term, Luther Mercer, incumbent. We have 1 vacant seat. Commissioner Brown.
Nominate. I move that we reappoint him to the committee.
Do we have a nomination for the vacant seat?
I'll nominate Trey Cleek.
Trey Cleet. Any other nominations? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Cordell made the motion. Who seconded his motion?
Who second? Aaron Nelson. Item number 16, appoint 1 member to the Madison County, that's what I just did, wasn't it? No, I didn't. Appointment of 1 member to the Madison County Long Range Planning Committee by the Budget Committee, 1-year term.
Once again, Mr. Chairman, we haven't met on that yet, so we'll have that for next month. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Item number 17, appoint 1 member to the Madison County Long Range Planning Committee by the Finance Committee, 1-year term, Gary Deaton, incumbent.
We're gonna have to do that next month, Mr. Chairman. We didn't deal with it.
All righty. Item number 18, appoint 1 member of the Madison County Long Range Planning Committee by the Capital Committee.
Mr. Chairman, ditto.
Ditto. We got 100% there, with no appointments. Item number 19, election of no republic.
So move.
Have a motion? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Item number 20, any and all matters related to or connected with matters set forth in items 1 through 19. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion. I make a motion for us not to allow the election commission to use that conference room for the reasons stated previously. And then also, just for the record, for the storage, I understand the voting machines, when they come in about 4 or 5 months, they have to be up under climate control and security area with the cameras and everything. But to have it here is a wannabe, it's not a have to be. So I make a motion for us not to let them, allow them to use their room, so other agencies have access to it.
Motion fails for lack of second. Who seconded? Roll call.
Let me make sure I have the motion, Mr. Chairman.
His motion was not to allow the election commission to use this room.
Before we vote, I just want to understand the implication of the vote. Well, I mean, do we have somewhere, where were they being, there's just a lot to be considered.
There's a lot to be considered.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any?
Well, the issue we're dealing with is the election commission now, and has been for some time, they had to move 2 people out of their offices within their building, and they've got machines stacked to the ceiling. In one room, in the other room, they got machines, what they have to have safes in there. These new machines are coming in, and I think, now if I'm correct, the cost of this is like $500,000 or $600,000 for these machines. Now, this is money that's been allocated, they call it the TANF fund. They've been waiting to try to determine what machines they get.
And they're bigger, they're large machines.
They are larger machines than what they have now. They have to be in a climate-controlled environment. They have to have a security camera on. They have to have 2 locks on the door so that there's a Republican lock and a Democrat lock on the doors. They have to have immediate access to them because they have to program all these things. We don't want to be moving these machines out here, bring them to the election office to try to be programmed, and then out to a precinct, and then back to be certified, and then back to the storage thing. It just makes no sense. They need to be on this facility. The conference room there is the only place we have that can house those units, and they can be accessible to the election commission. Now, I understand that it's messing up some of the things that have occurred on this campus. But there is there's been a lot of misinformation put out that they're taking over this auditorium. That is not true. This auditorium is still here, will still be operated just like it has been in the past. Events that are going to be held here can still be held here. So it's a bad situation. We know it can't be a permanent, long-term fix. But we've got to do something in order to get adequate protective space for these voting machines in the next couple of months.
These things can be worked out, we just need to have time to work them out and consider all parties involved. Commissioner Brown.
Yes. Just like many issues, I don't feel comfortable with any one option issue. If the committee is going to address the matter, when you come bring it to me, I need to have some options. I don't reason like this at home, and tell the people don't reason like this in anything. The committee, I would like to see do all the stuff that good management would say, review the lease, all the alternatives, bring the alternatives here, because I won't be programmed to vote one way on this or another issue.
Commissioner Hale.
Maybe we could do a little more time before we take up this. Would that be okay to maybe table for a month? Okay, I move to table it until next month to be discussed at the committee level, and maybe they can bring us a recommendation at that time. Second.
Have a motion second.
Is that okay? At least it's on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Commissioner Petty.
Thank you, from I just got word from Ms. Lott that she has a quote from TLM to do an addition of 1,600 square feet to her facility over here, going out on that far side towards Parkway. And that the first bid come in at about $341,000, which is $213 a square foot. It will have the storage rooms that she needs, and then there is another room that where they can hold the classes and do the programming and that type of thing. So, of course, we need to possibly look at that along with other possibilities. This is something that we'll address again at the property.
Commissioner Johnson.
I was just going to say what Mayor Harris said. I would withdraw my second because this was one of the main things that they were really concerned about. And so it's going to be open They're not gonna be stored in here. I
This
withdraw.
will be, this can be worked out, we just need to take all the information in, and we've got to protect the integrity of the voting machines, plus we got to abide by the state law.
I withdraw my motion.
Lori wants you and
Do what now? Yes, Lori, come on up.
Remind you guys, there are events that are coming back online throughout our community. If you are aware of an event that ties or would be of interest to a tourist, please make sure that they're contacting us because it's a very fluid situation, as we all know. Keeping that in mind, we know that the Sportsplex has kicked off their season and is rocking and rolling. But the thing I want to make sure is that you know about the Andrew Jackson Marathon. That'll be the first Saturday in April the 3rd. That'll be coming to downtown. It kicks off at the Farmers Market, goes through the Lambeth area neighborhood and the Medical Center area. It's a well-attended event, probably 200 to 300 runners usually. That may be off this year because people aren't all comfortable in traveling right now. But that event is going on. We need about 120 volunteers to make that event happen, and it does benefit the Carl Perkins Child Care Center. So keep a lookout, visit Jackson 10 for upcoming events. Please encourage your constituents, if they're having events or activities, to let us know about that, so that way we can help share it with the rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura. Roll call.
Alexander. Yes. Arnold. Yes. Beckham.
Yes.
Brantley. Brown Claudel. Here. Brown Scott. Here. Bryant. Bush. Cleveland. Here. Thompson. Here. Dean.
Here.
Ellison. Here.